So we're going to continue with Alma chapter 55.
Now it came to pass that when Moroni had received this epistle, he was more angry, because he knew that Ammoron had a perfect knowledge of his fraud. Yea, he knew that Ammoron knew that it was not a just cause that had caused him to wage a war against the people of Nephi. And he said, Behold, I will not exchange prisoners with Ammoron, save he will withdraw his purpose, as I have stated in my epistle. For I will not grant unto him that he shall have any more power than what he hath got. Behold, I know the place where the Lamanites do guard my people, whom they have taken prisoners. And as Ammoron would not grant unto me mine epistle, behold, I will give unto him according to my words. Yea, I will seek death among them until they shall sue for peace.
Of course, this is picking up right where the previous chapter left off. We had closed that chapter with Ammoron writing his response back to Moroni. Now, so you see it says in beginning of this chapter, when Moroni received that epistle, he was even more angry. Right? He was angry before, and now he's even more angry that this is really escalating. And he says, you know what? He says, this Ammoron guy, he's talking out of both sides of his mouth here. He's lying, and he knows he's lying. Right? He doesn't really believe that that's right what he's saying, but that this is the position that they're taking. So that's what he's saying there. Is that he thinks it's a just cause. It's not, and he knows it's not a just cause. It's just about winning at this point. In verse 2, it says he's not going to exchange the prisoners. And he has said in his letter that they wanted them to withdraw, right? So there was more to it than just exchanging the prisoners. He said, I want you to back off and exchange the prisoners. And so all the response said was, well, I'll exchange prisoners, but we're not going to back off. We're going to keep at this, right? And as just said, that means that now we're going to hand them back more of their soldiers to fight against us. So that's not really a winning solution here. Right? We're going to get a bunch of women and children, and we're going to give them back their soldiers. Right, so that he says no. He says either it's all or nothing. Either he agrees to what I said, or we're not going to do anything that was in there, including exchanging the prisoners. Right, but of course he's not going to let his prisoners or the Nephi people just stay there. He's going to come up with a different way to free them. Okay, so that's why it says in 3, he says I know the place where they're guarding the prisoners. So let's figure out a way to get them out of there.
And now it came to pass that when Moroni had said these words, he caused that a search should be made among his men, that perhaps he might find a man who was a descendant of Laman among them. And it came to pass that they found one whose name was Laman, and he was one of the servants of the king who was murdered by Amalickiah. Now Moroni caused that Laman and a small number of his men should go forth unto the guards who were over the Nephites. Now the Nephites were guarded in the city of Gid. Therefore Moroni appointed Laman and caused that a small number of men should go with him.
Right, so he's coming up with a plan now to free the prisoners. Right, so the first thing I need, he says, is I need somebody who is a descendant of Laman. Okay, now which Laman are we talking about? The very first one, right? The one who was right, Laman, Lemuel, the sons of Lehi, right? So right, I'm looking for a descendant of Laman. In other words, somebody who's a natural Lamanite person. That's what I need here, right? And so they were able to come up with one who, interestingly enough, his name was Laman, right? So it was probably easy to keep track of who he was a descendant of, right? But so they come up with a man named Laman, who was in fact a Lamanite person. As you can see there, it says he was one of the servants of the king who was murdered by Amalickiah when he was climbing up to be king of the Lamanites. All right, so now he says, hey Laman, he says, take a small group of men here and go over and interact with the guards who were watching the Nephite people, the Nephite prisoners. Right? So it says in 7, it says the Nephites were guarding the city of Gid, therefore Laman and the small group went over there. Now, why do you think he was looking for somebody who was a descendant of Laman? Yeah, he would look like them, so for somebody who could be like an infiltrator, right? Somebody who could go and could convince the Lamanites that he was one of them. So obviously he had to have the right appearance. You know, the Nephites and the Lamanites looked somewhat different. So if a Nephite were to walk in, it would be obvious, that he didn't belong there. But the Lamanite guy, it was more believable that he was supposed to be there. So that's why he was looking for somebody to fill that particular role.
And when it was evening, Laman went to the guards who were over the Nephites, and behold, they saw him coming, and they hailed him. But he saith unto them, Fear not, behold, I am a Lamanite. Behold, we have escaped from the Nephites, and they sleep. And behold, we have taken of their wine, and brought with us. Now when the Lamanites heard these words, they received him with joy. And they said unto him, Give us of your wine, that we may drink. We are glad that ye have thus taken wine with you, for we are weary. But Laman said unto them, Let us keep of our wine till we go against the Nephites to battle. But this saying only made them more desirous to drink of the wine.
You can actually see what's coming here, right? So it says Laman and the group went over there and to the guards who were guarding the Nephites and said, you know, I mean, in carrying out the ruse, says like, hey, I'm a Lamanite, don't hurt me. And look, I got wine. I got the wine that I stole from the Nephites. They were sleeping and I stole their wine, and hey, I brought it so we can all enjoy it. And so that's all these guys had to hear, as you can see. He said, hey, yeah, now they receive it with joy. Come on in, and let's drink together. All right, yeah, we're happy that you took the wine, because I mean, we're like wiped out, and that'll really help us out here. So Laman said, well, wait, that doesn't fast. Why don't we save it until we go into the battle? Went to battle. No. Right now we want that. So he had him eating out of the palm of his hand or drinking out of his bottle, because he had the wine ready to give them, and so he had brought that for a purpose, though, and so they're all ready to drink right up.
For, said they, we are weary, therefore let us take of the wine, and by we shall receive wine for our rations, which will strengthen us to go against the Nephites. And Laman said unto them, You may do according to your desires. And it came to pass that they did take of the wine freely, and it was pleasant to their taste. Therefore they took of it more freely, and it was strong, having been prepared in its strength. And it came to pass they did drink and were merry, and by they were all drunken.
All right, so you see what happens, all right? It says that they were anxious to drink, so he said, okay, to have at it, and so he gave them the wine. It says they took the wine freely, passed it around, they drank more, and eventually they got drunk and then started to pass out. Right? So this was, of course, the plan all along, that they come and get them drunk, and then they would not be able to function as the guards. They were the ones guarding the prisoners. So the plan was successful at that point. Laman infiltrated their group. He looked like them, so they received him. They drank the wine. They were drunk and now not able to function properly as the guards. See, they did drink and were merry. How the saying goes, eat, drink, and be merry. They were drinking and then they were merry.
And now when Laman and his men saw that they were all drunken and were in a deep sleep, they returned to Moroni and told him all the things that had happened. And now this was according to the design of Moroni. And Moroni had prepared his men with weapons of war, and he sent to the city Gid, while the Lamanites were in a deep sleep and drunken, and cast in weapons of war unto the prisoners, insomuch that they were all armed, yea, even to their women, and all those of their children, as many as were able to use a weapon of war. When Moroni had armed all those prisoners, and all those things were done in a profound silence.
All right, so as we said, that after drinking the wine, the guards were drunk. They were in a deep sleep. And, when you're starting to read, you might think, okay, they're going to sneak the prisoners out at this point. But, again, maybe they were in buildings that were locked, or maybe it would have made a lot of noise to try to break them out. So instead, they did it a little different way, all right? As you see what they did, all right? That they brought the weapons and they just handed it in, maybe through the window. I said, here you go. And they gave enough weapons for all the ones who were in there, the men, the women, even the children who were capable of using weapons. They gave enough weapons to all of them. So this way, the prisoners were still there, but now they were armed. So now it's going to be a different story when the guards wake up. And so now, like I said, they're all still in the prison, but now they're ready, because now they're all armed and ready for battle here, probably armed better than what the guards are at this point. They certainly outnumber them. Okay, so that's why it says at the end of 17, all these things were done in profound silence. So this way they didn't make any noise, and you can just picture them in the cover of dark, be passing through the window, passing through the window, and now they had enough for everybody.
But had they awakened the Lamanites, behold, they were drunken, and the Nephites could have slain them. But behold, this was not the desire of Moroni. He did not delight in murder or bloodshed, but he delighted in the saving of his people from destruction. And for this cause he might not bring upon him injustice. He would not fall upon the Lamanites and destroy them in their drunkenness. But he had obtained his desires, for he had armed those prisoners of the Nephites who were within the wall of the city, and had given them power to gain possession of those parts which were within the walls.
As a follow-up to what they were saying, they did it in profound silence, that they didn't want to wake up the guards. I mean, that actually makes the point here that it was more than just not wanting to get caught. That they were, they said if the guards had awakened, what would have happened? They would have to kill them, right? And then they still would have been drunk, so they wouldn't have really been in a position to fight or defend themselves. So yeah, they would have wound up killing them all, and that really wasn't what they wanted to do. I mean, if that mattered, they could have killed them while they were sleeping if that was what they wanted to do. So they were just looking to free the prisoners. As it says, we don't delight in murder and bloodshed. That's not what this is about. We're just trying to get our people out. So that's why he said that now our people are armed. They can defend themselves, and then hopefully now we can free them without having a whole lot of bloodshed here. Right, so and that's a good point to make. Is that I said if they wanted to kill the guards, they could have. They could have killed the guards right there, and the prisoners could have all walked out. But they want to do it this way that they would be freed, and they wouldn't have to kill everybody.
And then he caused the men who were with him to withdraw a pace from them, and surround the armies of the Lamanites. Now behold, this was done in the night time, so that when the Lamanites awoke in the morning, they beheld that they were surrounded by the Nephites without, and that their prisoners were armed within. And thus they saw that the Nephites had power over them. And in these circumstances they found that it was not expedient that they should fight with the Nephites. Therefore their chief captains demanded their weapons of war, and they brought them forth, and cast them at the feet of the Nephites, pleading for mercy.
Right, so you can try to picture the scene in the next morning as they're waking up, probably with a hangover, and then now here surrounding their camp is part of the Nephite army, and behind them, maybe with weapons sticking out of the windows, there's all the prisoners, right, are armed as well. So they're pretty much surrounded here, and so they really had no alternative but to surrender, right, which is really what was wanted. They weren't looking to kill them, but now they surrender. They put down their weapons, and it's okay. We give up. So they were able to end it and free the prisoners without any bloodshed, which is a nice way to handle it.
Now behold, this was the desire of Moroni. He took them prisoners of war, and took possession of the city, and caused that all the prisoners should be liberated who were Nephites, and they did join the army of Moroni, and were a great strength to his army. And it came to pass that he did cause the Lamanites, whom he had taken prisoners, that they should commence a labor in strengthening the fortifications round about the city Gid. And it came to pass that when he had fortified the city Gid, according to his desires, he caused that his prisoners should be taken to the city Bountiful, and he also guarded that city with an exceeding strong force.
Now they had more prisoners that they were able to take, since they didn't kill the Lamanites. They were able to take them as prisoners. They freed all their own people of the Nephites, and they were able to. The men were able to join in with the Nephite army, as it says there. So they were a great strength to his army. So this is all good things for the Nephites, and the Lamanite prisoners got to be put to work to build forts or whatever, or better security around the city of Gid, which was the city where they were holding the prisoners. So they got to make that city stronger for the Nephite purpose. Right? So they were able to put them to work to help their own cause, which they were doing in the previous chapter, and now they had more. They were able to do that. And when they were done with Gid, let's go on up to Bountiful, and we'll do some work there too. We got plenty of work to be done, and we got the manpower now. Let's get it done.
And it came to pass that they did, notwithstanding all the intrigues of the Lamanites, keep and protect all the prisoners whom they had taken, and also maintain all the ground and the advantage which they had retaken. And it came to pass that the Nephites began again to be victorious, and to reclaim their rights and their privileges. Many times did the Lamanites attempt to encircle them about by night, but in these attempts they did lose many prisoners.
They have all these Lamanite prisoners, right? And so it says that we're going to hang on to them, all right? We're not going to give them up. We're going to protect them. We don't want the Lamanite army coming in trying to take them away. So as you can see, it says they were maintaining the ground advantage which they had retaken. So they were victorious for this particular go-around, and so they were kind of regaining some of their own cities and their own territory, and they had all these prisoners. So they were, since they were reclaiming their rights, their privileges, etc. Right? And now notice in 29 it says many times the Lamanites tried to do their own thing to try to free the prisoners, but probably those who tried to escape wound up getting killed or something, so that they were not successful in trying to escape or trying to free the prisoners. They were guarding them, and they were well prepared for whatever would come their way. Their cities had been fortified by the Lamanite prisoners who were working, so they were set up to protect the prisoners that way.
And many times did they attempt to administer their wine to the Nephites, that they might destroy them with poison or with drunkenness. But behold, the Nephites were not slow to remember the Lord their God in this their times of affliction. They could not be taken in their snares. Yea, they would not partake of wine, save they had first given to some of the Lamanite prisoners. And they were thus cautious that no poison should be administered among them. For if their wine would poison the Lamanite, it would also poison the Nephite. And thus they did try all their liquors.
We did this to you, right? You're using the same thing that we're not supposed to be suspicious. You know, it says here, the Lamanites come in, hey, we got some wine for you. Right? Well, should I not be suspicious of this? And so, right, so they tried to give them the wine. I guess it was poisoned or to get them drunk. And it says, hey, we're not going to drink that. Now, I mean, in 31 it says they were not slow to remember the Lord their God. So, I mean, I guess they're trying to say, well, they had wisdom that was given them by God. Well, yeah, between us, I mean, I think there's any common sense to say, well, why would we drink what you're going to give us? Obviously, it's not going to be a good thing. So it says that they would not partake of the wine unless they first gave it to the Lamanites to drink. See, kind of like the old, you know, how the king has his taste tester, right? Well, that's what this was. Okay, well, you want us to drink that? You drink it first, all right? And as it says in 32, it says if it poisons you, then it means it's going to poison me. So if I see you die, then I'm not going to drink it, right? And so it's just that simple. So they let him try it out themselves, you know, before they would try drinking any of the wine.
Now it came to pass that it was expedient for Moroni to make preparations to attack the city Morianton. For behold, the Lamanites had, by their labors, fortified the city Morianton until it had become an exceeding stronghold. And they were continually bringing new forces into that city, and also new supplies of provisions. And thus ended the 29th year of the reign of the judges over the people of Nephi.
Okay, so having been successful with the venture so far, of freeing the prisoners from the city of Gid and such, well now Moroni is setting his sights on yet another city, as you see the city of Morianton, right, which the Lamanites had taken previously, and that they had already strengthened that city and brought new forces into there, so that was the next target, right? Because it's the city of Morianton, a lot of Lamanites in there, and it's been really fortified. We need to see what we can do to break through that and recapture that city. And that's what's happening as the 29th year of the reign of the judges is ending. So that's what's happened through the end of year 29.